Hello, Nano lovers. Welcome to our beautiful home. Yes, please subscribe and come live in this amazing house with us. And what if you ever found yourself in a situation like this? Either you or perhaps a friend using a hair extension technique that unfortunately falls out anywhere, whether it's due to excessive heat or even just from brushing your hair, and you end up in that sad and frustrating situation of thinking, wow, I really didn't pay all that money just to go through this. So what now? Tell me in the comments if you've ever been through a similar situation or know someone who has. So let's go, because today's video is really good. We're starting off here by showing a catastrophic or the final result. This is a client from 2020 and she's been using NANOslim for over 5 years without interruption. And she came to me in this situation. So don't forget to comment, share, like, and help engage with this video so that more women can learn about a liberating technique that can change their reality when it comes to using hair extensions. So come with me and let's check out this whole case. As you know, I share my Google Photos with you. So let's take a closer look at the case of our client and friend, Andressa. Let's go. Well, first of all, I'm going to go ahead and share the dates with you, okay? This photo was taken on June 6th in the year 2020. It was sent by Andressa to my WhatsApp when she came across NANOslim on social media. She discovered that there was a hair extension technique different from the one she was using, and she needed a solution because Andressa's situation was very difficult, and that's how her hair looked. And believe it or not, Nanolover, this would happen 7 to 15 days following maintenance. Andressa has curly hair, she does sealing, Brazilian brushing, and after maintenance she already needs to put on the adhesive. And maybe because she needs to straighten her strands, the adhesive doesn't stick as well. And she also blow dries her hair every week, right? She has those weekly care routines, which are very common, very typical, right? For all women who use hair extensions. So I got a WhatsApp message from Andressa with photos saying she couldn't take that situation anymore, asking me to explain what NANOslim was so she could see if NANOslim would really solve her problems. She was really upset. She also complained a lot about pain with hair alignment because every time the tapes, the adhesives were removed, they left a significant amount of glue residue in her hair, as you can clearly see. This is one of the most shocking photos. I always show it because it's very common for women who use adhesive extensions to go through this kind of situation. And when this happens, Nano love, these little pieces of hair, sometimes fall out on one side but not the other, so the person ends up with a completely uneven haircut. One side without hair, the other side with hair. The embarrassment often happens at the worst possible moments, like at a public event, a restaurant, church, or the mall. This is really complicated for someone who invests in their hair to have an extension of their own hair in their daily life. And then she sent me a lot of details, and told me about it, right? I do an assessment where I ask about the client's hair history, if she has highlights, coloring, if she uses any kind of straightening or smoothing product, how long she has been using the technique, which technique, to do a preliminary assessment of Andressa's case, right? I actually do this with all my clients. So we did her assessment, okay? She came to the salon and she brought along the hair that had already come out. I also removed, the hair that was still on her head. We weighed it right there, even with the silicone, with the material that holds the strands together. And we saw that she had 128 grams of hair. Another particular detail, right? Just to clarify, the hair she brought is actually Indian hair. It's Asian hair, okay? So she had the 128 grams on her head and some strands that had come loose, plus 50 grams of hair she brought, which she still had processed with keratin and everything. So in total, we had 178 grams there. At this first moment, you'll see how thin the hair was, because that's the quality of Asian hair, right? It's hair that doesn't doesn't have much density. I've already made videos here for you talking about the fragility of this type of hair, the processing it goes through, right? Splices, inverted cuticles. So you'll see that it actually brought some noticeable relief to Andressa, especially in terms of the structure, you know? But the hair itself isn't really that kind of wow hair. And after a while, she still used that same hair for a long time, okay? Believe it, even though it was Indian. And then we switched it for a gorgeous, wonderful Brazilian hair. So follow along with me. Here is Andressa's hair. When we carefully removed all of the things that were in her hair, right? The straightening also it didn't turn out well, right? She thought it didn't really take very well. So I made the hairpiece. She stayed here in the salon. We removed all that glue residue from her hair with the proper products, which you already know, right? It's isopropyl alcohol, conditioner, oil, and a lot of alcohol to get rid of all that gunk, that adhesive, and that sticky residue from the client's hair. And that's what we did throughout the entire process. We also carefully aligned the cuticles. In other words, we straightened her hair using a Brazilian brush treatment, specifically chosen for her hair type, okay? And this was her hair before. As you can see, it's very voluminous hair. It's hair that is generally or typically from moderate to thick in texture. So she doesn't have very fine hair, okay? And then I filmed, the whole application process. And this process, guys, is really fast. On average, it takes me about 8 to 10 minutes to apply strips that are 31 centimeters long, okay? The wefts, right? And in total, I spend between 20 and 40 minutes to apply NANOslim to the whole head. So just like I explained to Andressa, everything I tell you and show you as well, we attach the hair to our elastic barrier. So it's basically a mechanical and natural method because we managed to create a mechanism where the hair, together with the elastic barrier, forms a kind of mesh. So it has flexibility, it has movement, and there's no risk of it coming loose because there are no knots, no glue at all. Everything is done using the client's own hair in the NANOslim weft inside the elastic barrier, okay? There, I'm carefully applying the nape weft, right? The lower weft there. And I think I have the video here showing the wefts being let down, right? So you can see. Since these are very old videos, sometimes Google Photos takes a little while to load, but there we're already letting down the wefts, right? You can see how natural it looks. We also use some very specific clips for NANOslim to secure it well. There are a lot of techniques where the client has to hold things for the hairdresser. We don't need that, okay? So there we've already let down 2 wefts. See how much of a difference it makes, right? That's her hair right there. Now we're going to let down the intermediate weft. Look how beautiful that looks, right? And actually, I did a very light and gentle cleaning of the hair strands she brought me, okay? It was a really light cleaning. We put in 1, then 2, then 3, and then 4 there. So it was actually 4 wefts at the very beginning of natural hair that we put on Andressa, just a little bit. Look how much it changes, right? They're full strips, full wefts. So we don't have that issue with little pieces. And look at the height where the top weft is actually placed. It's circular. It really comes all the way to the front. So the client doesn't need little pieces. She has the face framing done, right? Contoured in the correct position, following the head's anatomy that NANOslim respects. So we really use the full wefts, which give truly outstanding results, okay? Another noteworthy point, okay? So since she had done her adhesive maintenance just 15 days ago, what happened in this case? It already started to come loose. So she was up to date with the sealing, right? With the Brazilian brushing. The straightening was up to date. So we applied NANOslim, right? Did a treatment on her hair, applied NANOslim, and then we did the highlights. She wanted some lightening for her hair. Even though it was imported hair, we managed to make the strands really soft and smooth there, okay? So we can do this process on the same day we apply NANOslim to the client's head. So that's the versatility of NANOslim, okay? It really is a technique that allows for many different possibilities. And I also filmed, right, the entire process of creating the highlights in her hair. There was a time when she had highlights, then she stopped. Right? She kept her hair dark because it weakens the hair less, right? It damages the hair less. And now let's see the result. So what happens? Asian hair has this particularity of having thin ends. That's why we no longer work here at the salon with NANOslim and Asian hair, because these are types of hair that no matter how many grams you have, they don't have density at the ends. No, the strands aren't solid all the way through. And that's what Brazilian hair provides. So this was actually the result of the straight hair. We worked only with the hair she specifically brought. We didn't add anything at all. Look at the finish. The finish, guys, is honestly fantastic, really. Let me see if I can zoom in here, right? Look, the finish really is something special, almost invisible, that gives the client self-assurance. The client can go to the sauna, the beach, or the pool and can brush her hair without any kind of glue melting or getting sticky. This really brings the benefit that the client is looking for in a hair extension, providing her with comfort and peace of mind. And NANOslim really manages to meet these expectations, right, that our clients have regarding their hair, regarding the hair extensions. And then on the same day, we also did some really lovely waves, right? So when we do the waves, the volume increases, right? It looks nice and it gets even more voluminous. And believe it or not, she wore this hair for quite a while, okay? Now at this point in the process, we're going to move on to her hair change. Look how cool that is, right? We created a lot of engaging content. Be sure to check out the finishing there. This finishing is what I really like to always show off, to display, because it's a finishing that gives the client a lot of confidence without hurting, without leaving the scalp sore. It's really, really, really cool. Honestly, the NANOslim, guys, the mechanism is just top notch. There she's tying up a ponytail, right? Even though the hair at the nape of her neck is really short, look how that's not a problem, because the wefts are very flexible. You know, they can be flipped up so you can do a high ponytail. That's really, really, really easy. She was really satisfied because, as you saw, she had another 50 grams of hair that weren't on her head. So she only had that 128. But when I showed you, that silicone also adds weight, right? So in the end, it turned out to be less hair. It's super easy, okay, to do a ponytail, to do a bun. Of course, for those who have these shorter hairs, you might need to use bobby pins and hair clips to help gently secure those shorter hairs to the ponytail structure. Look how it turns out. Absolutely unnoticeable. The big challenge was to win Andressa's loyalty, right? Because she had so many complaints, so many problems. She was already frustrated. And thank God in the first month, NANOslim already won over the client. And Andressa is still our client to this day. In fact, now she's pregnant, so we're not doing any chemical treatments, right, on her hair. It was just fantastic. It was a really fun and enjoyable day too, okay? Here, I actually made some videos showing the condition of the hair when we carefully removed the adhesive strips. Yeah, the adhesive actually stays all over the client's hair, so it becomes really uncomfortable for them. And one of the complaints Andressa had was that when the adhesive was removed, right, when the hair extensions were taken out and the excess adhesive was removed, she would go to get her hair straightened and still felt a lot of pain. It pulled a lot, probably because the professional couldn't completely remove all the glue from her hair. That's why she went through this unfortunate situation, right, guys? And that's when I say that by trying to forcefully remove this glue without the proper products, you end up pulling out the client's natural hair. Okay, this happens. And like I said before, right, those silicones, when we actually put the hair with them on the scale, they add some extra weight too. So all of the hair that we transformed is right there, right? That was already another day, okay? Her maintenance was already successfully completed with our sealing, our Brazilian brushing. We can see there that her hairline is quite delicate and fine. Look, from here down, the hair is very fragile, thin, and more sensitive. And from here up, the hair is noticeably fuller and thicker. So we're going to see the evolution of Andressa's hair. How NANOslim grows on hair that is curly, right? That needs sealing. So guys, it doesn't tangle. It's super natural. It doesn't put strain on the sides, you know, from pulling or creating little gaps on the sides. And to take it apart, we just use a single needle, okay? So just take a moment to observe how incredibly natural this growth appears. And there's one important detail. Andressa's hair tends to grow more slowly. It's noticeably more sluggish. So our maintenance with her, specifically Andressa's maintenance, is scheduled every 3 months or every 90 days. But what her hair grows in 90 days is what we usually see in clients whose hair grows in 60 days. So it's as if she were doing maintenance every 60 days because her hair grows at a slower rate, okay? So as you can see here, we have 90 days. That's how NANOslim grows in an exceptionally healthy and positive way. I also like to show that there are absolutely no hair bulbs being pulled out in the weave. This really makes all the difference because our client wants to use extensions, but she also wants her own hair to grow without any issues, to grow healthy and strong. That's why I also developed my own line, shampoo, mask, fluid, and oil for growth and strengthening, okay? That's the main concept behind the NANOslim line. Take a look here at another date, right? I'll even just go back. Let's look at the dates. This hair, it's actually from August 29, 2020, okay? That was when she came in for her scheduled maintenance appointment, okay? And then with this hair that we saw, right, we already started to carefully trim off some of the weakened ends. It's January 8th, 2021. So we can see, right? From August to January, that's a total of 5 months, right? Or 4, right? So look at how we were already able to get rid of those thin ends and how her hair started growing in noticeably fuller. That's what I always show with NANOslim, okay? That's the difference. Right there, you see? The finish, how close it is, how nice it looks. She was still using the same hair, okay? The wefts, they last a long time, but with Asian hair, we can't make that promise. So much time in use in the end, right? When it was already time to change the hair, it really was very thin. And then she darkened it as well, okay? And then after that, it was finally time for the big change. Just look at this transformation, right? She was using this hair, then we slightly darkened it. Yeah, the last records I made of this hair were in January 2021, okay? And here, my beloved loves, on the 2nd day of February in the year 2024. In other words, she had it in 21, 22, 23, and 24. Guys, Andressa actually managed to keep this same gorgeous hair from the year 2020 all the way until 2024. She kept it, look. Should we count 2021? Yeah, 22, 23, 24. 3, almost 4 years. 3 years and 6 months. 8 months with this hair. It lasted a long time, right? But here, just take a look at her beautiful natural hair. Let me remove the information. Look at her natural hair, how long it already is. It has clearly surpassed the previous weave she was using. And now we're working with authentic Brazilian hair. Look at the difference, right? This hair that I'm pulling forward is actually her own hair. Look at the difference. See how much it grew, how much fuller it is, how our sealing treatment also doesn't damage the hair, right? It doesn't destroy the hair because there are a lot of sealing treatments out there where the hair can't grow. It just keeps breaking and breaking. That was the old one and now we were doing it, right? We set everything up to record a reels for her with the new hair. And now, guys, with this new hair, she's really going to have hair for herself. If she used the old Asian hair for 3.5 years, this hair is going to last her a long time. She's very careful, right? Like I said, her hair doesn't grow that much. Look at the elastic barrier there, right? Doing its job. This is my oil. Right? So we're going to use it there to add shine, to help protect, and to bring healthy moisture to this hair. It can also be used together with our nano mask. It's amazing. Look at this hair. Voluminous, heavy, shiny, with complete strands. This hair turned out absolutely wonderful, guys. This is a very successful case where NANOslim brought self-esteem to the client. We brought back a client who had already lost faith in hair extensions because of the emotional trauma caused by adhesive use. Look at this, Brazil and the world. What a spectacular head of hair. Absolutely gorgeous, right? And that's what we work with, isn't it? We work with our clients' dreams, with the heartfelt dreams of women who wish, right? To see their image reflected with true confidence and a deep sense of peace of mind. That's what I say, right? Without going through any hassle, right? Look how beautiful. Look at that joyful face, the sparkle in her eyes, right? From truly, really having wonderful hair, the soft, silky touch, the shiny, beautiful shine, and knowing you're buying a high quality product. That makes all the difference for us, right? Here at NANOslim. Now, looking at the hair from the back, we can really see the difference, right? Of course, she put in more than the first time, but you can definitely see like the weight and thickness of the hair, right? The density of the strands, the fact that it's all in one piece. A truly spectacular hair, a wonderful and impressive hair. And here we have like the perfect symbiosis, right? Yeah, her hair grew, developed, and improved. The hair she bought, hair of the highest quality. That really makes all the difference, guys, especially for the self-esteem of a client who's using hair extensions with confidence. And Andressa has never had any kind of issue with NANOslim, not once. That's why I say, right? She's a truly dedicated and consistent client. Look at her hair before. As you can see, look at her hair after. It's amazing, isn't it, guys? So, Nana Love, did you like Andressa's story and her struggles with adhesive extensions until she switched to NANOslim? If you liked it, leave a comment with your thoughts. If you know someone who would really benefit from discovering NANOslim and this whole evolution in hair extensions, share this video with them. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe. Come join this wonderful family and help us build the most beautiful community in the world. Come be a proud nano lover too. See you in our next video.